Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Price Check Sports Podcast, brought to you by the In the Zone Network, where we go city to city, state to state, worldwide. Got a recap of crazy week one here in the NFL before, of course, giving us a little bit of a preview of what's to come in week two. Now, a lot of storylines, a lot of different things happen both on and off the field here in week one. Got to start with what was kind of the biggest story coming out Sunday morning. We heard, of course, Tyreek Hill had been arrested or detained by Miami-Dade County Police there before the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We have now, since that game and since Sunday, now seen the body cam footage of this detainment, this arrest for Tyreek Hill. And definitely, just ugly power trip bullshit from, the police down there in Miami-Dade County. Glad that Tyreek Hill was able to make it out of what, could have been a situation that went completely left. He even alluded to it in his press conference after the game. What if he wasn't Tyreek Hill? What if this was just a regular person, not a celebrity or not a star athlete? What could have happened and what could have gone wrong or even worse in this particular situation. So he was able to survive that interaction. And then, of course, went on to put up seven catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown. Crazy 80-yard touchdown against the Jaguars in a win for the Dolphins that they much needed here to start the season. And then, of course, they now are going to move on to a short week here. They play on Thursday night against the Buffalo Bills, a game that we'll get a chance to preview before the show ends. But big game from Tyreek Hill. Even did the arrest celebration with Jalen Waddle, which was a nice touch and I guess a funny spin on what could have otherwise been a pretty bad day for Tyreek. Now, some other major news that came out first thing on Sunday. Dak Prescott got paid, man. And when I say paid, he got paid. $240 million, 231 of which is guaranteed over the 4-year contract that he just signed with the Dallas Cowboys. Whether you think Dak is, worthy of being the highest paid player in NFL history, worthy of being the highest paid quarterback in the league, not sure. But what you can't deny is that the Cowboys doesn't really have many options outside of Dak when it comes to who they could possibly get at quarterback. So we saw, the Trey Lance experiment in the preseason was not good. So they definitely needed to make sure to lock in Dak so that he can be the Cowboys quarterback here for the long term. So they, of course, Cowboys won their game 33-17. Dak, of course, in the offense looked great. That defense was all over Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, who also, while not looking good on the field to start this season, also has yet another civil lawsuit coming his way off the field. We found out here last night that another woman has come out with a 2020 sexual assault and battery allegation against him. And so we'll see how that plays out in court. But if you're the Browns, you're probably looking at what your options are going to be here to try to get away from that Deshaun Watson contract. It's massive in terms of the cap hit that would come if they had to just outright cut him, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. But even if they do it at some point before next season, $172 million cap hit, which is a pretty major chunk of your available cap space for a football team. So not sure what the Browns' moves are going to be, but they looked horrific on offense. A line could not block for him. He didn't really seem like he was all the way there. So Browns, not looking great for them. Not looking great for Deshaun Watson. We'll see how that all plays out here over the course of the season. Now, rewind back to Thursday and Friday. We had some good opening games to kick off the NFL season. You had your Chiefs-Ravens Thursday night opener. Ravens losing that one by a toe. Isaiah likely misses out on what would have been the game-tying touchdown. Steps out of bounds in the back of the end zone. Chiefs go on to win that one 27-20. And then Friday, you had Saquon Barkley, man. Shout out to those like me who drafted Saquon Barkley on your fantasy teams, because he delivered to the tune of 3 touchdowns and 100 rushing yards in his first game as a Philadelphia Eagle. Eagles end up winning that one 34-29. And then, of course, the other storyline coming out of that game, Jordan Love hurts his MCL. Is now expected to be out what the Packers have called 3 to 4 weeks. We've also seen reported 6 to 8 weeks. probably going to be closer to that 6 to 8 week timeline. And unfortunately for them, they're going to have to start Malik Willis here coming up during these games that Jordan Love is going to miss. So got an interesting Malik Willis wrinkle here that we'll talk about later in the show as well. But in terms of some other notable outcomes and games, we saw some good football in the early window. You saw a crazy Cardinals-Bills game that Cardinals jumped out to a big lead in. Bills ultimately come back and win that one. We mentioned how good the Jaguars-Dolphins game was. Tennessee-Bears was entertaining and not necessarily the greatest football between those two quarterbacks there. Will Levis throwing the pick six with his hands on his head. And then, of course, first overall pick, Caleb Williams, only throwing for 93 yards in his debut, but getting the win nonetheless. Now, we got some teams that we have to discuss in a little bit more disappointing fashion. Now, the first two teams that we're going to discuss here, Bengals and Falcons, had two real stinkers that they put out on the field on Sunday. Bengals losing 16-10 at home to the New England Patriots. Now, granted, they didn't have T. Higgins. Jamar Chase has missed a lot of camp with his contract holdout. But the Bengals, and they typically start slow every year, right? This is not anything that's crazy new for them. I believe Joe Burrow's record now in September games is 6-8-1. So, again, this is a team that has had its struggles to start the season, but just looked even worse on Sunday. They couldn't move the ball at all against a decent Patriots defense, but a team that's not really playing for anything. This is a rebuilding team that they're going against, again, at home, and they couldn't get the job done. So, Bengals worrying me a little bit. They got Kansas City coming up here in week 2, a game that I don't like the matchup for them, especially if they're going to be without T. Higgins again with his hamstring injury. Falcons are the other team, of course, that I mentioned. They lost 18-10 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers team that scored their 18 points off of nothing but field goals. And this Falcons team just really struggled offensively in terms of moving the ball. Kirk Cousins having to go out of the shotgun or the pistol a lot of the game. Didn't really look like he was as mobile as he needed to be yet, and just kind of looked like Kirk Cousins, both good and bad in certain situations. Kyle Pitts gets the only touchdown for the Falcons and only touchdown for the game, but nonetheless, Falcons lose that one. Not the greatest performance, especially given the expectations surrounding that Falcons team. Also, their schedule coming up, of course, they got the Eagles here on Monday night, and then I believe they play the Chiefs the following week. So, could be looking at an 0-3 start here if you're the Falcons, which is definitely not ideal, given, again, the expectations that they had coming into the season, the thoughts that they had about not only being a solid playoff team, but a team that could maybe make some noise once they got there. So those two teams are, your teams with a little bit of expectation that had some, playoff and even potentially some Super Bowl, hopes coming into the season. We got two other teams that we have to mention that weren't necessarily disappointments because maybe your hopes weren't high for them. But two teams that we absolutely have to hold our nose at right now, Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants. I mean, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to check the odds on FanDuel before this, but somebody please send me the odds. I'll check it myself. I'll send it out myself, something. But the odds on those two teams, one of those two teams to have the worst record in the league, I think you can take either pick there. Both of them are going to be very bad this season. Very bad. I mean, so much so that the Panthers, they were losing 30-3 at halftime of their game to the Saints. 3 points that they got literally as the clock struck 0 at the halftime buzzer. You had the Giants team that let Saquon Barkley walk in free agency. He scores 3 touchdowns on Friday. They don't score a single touchdown as a team on Sunday. 3 words to describe what these two teams, Panthers and Giants, can expect this season. Belt to ass. It's going to be a lot of ass whoopings for both of these teams coming this season. I don't know where the Panthers go from here. Bryce Young does not look great. Offense, again, could not move the ball. The Giants, Daniel Jones looked horrific. Another pick six. He's thrown more pick sixes than touchdowns since signing his new deal. So literally it's helping the other team score more than his own team since signing that $160 million contract. So both of those teams, I'm talking, it's going to be a lot of lows for both of them coming up this season. Now, Had two, of course, pretty exciting, exciting-ish night games here. Sunday Night Football, you got an OT win for the Lions, 26-20 over the Rams. Game was, of course, back and forth. Rams make a little bit of a comeback in that one. But, of course, falls short. Lose Puka Nacua. He's going out on IR. I believe Steve Avila, also offensive lineman, going out on IR. Lions make it through that one, pretty much healthy for the most part. Not a major amount of noise from Amon-Ra St. Brown in that one, but Jamison Williams, St. Louis's own, 5 catches for 121 yards and touchdown in that game. He shined pretty bright in that one. And, of course, David Montgomery getting the touchdown to clinch it in overtime. So, got that one from Sunday night. And then, of course, our Monday night game from last night, you had the Christian McCaffrey-less 49ers getting a big win over the Jets with Aaron Rodgers and his return to the field. They win that one 32-19 behind Jordan Mason's crazy night. 152 total yards for him as the fill-in for Christian McCaffrey. Huge game for him, running all over that Jets defense. Jets, they didn't look terrible, but definitely a work in progress for them. But good to see Aaron Rodgers back on the field. He had some absolute dimes yesterday, too, in that game. So I know the Jets are excited to have him back and excited to get, a little bit more rhythm here as the season goes on. Now, looking ahead to week 2, we mentioned Thursday Night Football this week is a fun matchup, divisional matchup, Bills and Dolphins, game that's usually pretty fun, pretty exciting matchup anytime they play here in this Josh Allen era, and I guess also when you combine that with the Tua era in Miami. I don't really have a lean in terms of pick in this game or which side is going to win. Based on what we saw on Sunday, I guess I would go Bills. Josh Allen, of course, was putting that team on his back the entire game after they fell down 17-3. And then for the Dolphins, they had a little bit of a slower start, but of course, Tyreek Hill is only one catch away from, breaking a 70, 80-yard touchdown. Same thing, you saw Devon Achane use his speed, getting the end zone. So a lot of playmakers on the field on that one. I do think it is going to be a close game, probably field goal game at max. I guess I'll take the Dolphins. The Bills in that one by 3. Again, don't feel great about it, but division game, I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a close one. So looking forward to that one on Thursday night. Now, looking ahead to the Sunday slate in terms of games that we like, games that we may want to bet. If you've been paying attention to us on Instagram, we've been hitting a couple good parlays here over the course of week 1. Actually got some big wins, both the Thursday and Friday night games here to start week 1. And then got a pretty nice plus 785 cash on the parlay last night for the 49ers and Jets game. So been doing good there. Best bets here for week 2. 3 games that we're targeting here. It's going through 3-leg money line parlay. We're just going to throw them all together. Forget it. We're just going to go ahead and go for the gusto. 3-leg money line parlay, get you plus 311 odds. We're going Colts, Rams, Chargers. Reason for that. Rams, they play the Cardinals. Sean McVay is 13-2 as the Rams coach against the Cardinals since taking over in 2017. That's all you need to know. They've only lost 2 games in 7 years against the Cardinals. Give me the Rams. For the Colts, they're playing the Packers. They are going to Green Bay, but we mentioned no Jordan Love for Green Bay. They're going to be starting Malik Willis. Malik Willis is not good at football. Bet against him anytime he's on the field. And then the Chargers are, of course, playing the Panthers. The Panthers stink. Nothing else that needs to be said. The Chargers, they had, a little bit of a rocky game here against the Raiders at home to start the season, but definitely looking like a much better coach team under Jim Harbaugh. And I think this is a game that if they are a better team than, what they consider themselves to be under Brandon Staley, definitely a game that you have to win against a Panthers team that is going to be very bad for the entire season. So, Colts, Rams, Chargers, plus 311 currently on FanDuel. Go ahead, lock it in. Don't even think about it. Don't even sweat it. It's going to hit. Trust. It's going to hit. So, that'll do it for us on today's episode of The Price Check. Make sure you keep tuning in with us here weekly throughout the NFL season. Of course, NBA season is also right around the corner, so we're going to have a lot to cover, a lot to discuss, and, just a lot to enjoy here. The crisp fall weather is starting to set in. Football is back. Basketball is on the way. Good times will ensue. So, till next time, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Josh Price. Check it out.